Hi everyone, today we will talk about our project. Our project is Melbourne Festival. Our report is me, Hengwu, and Oliver, and Will, and Shen Hao. This is our part.
Hello, my name is Oliver Lochhead, and first of all, I'll just give you an overview of the project. This business report outlines what would need to be done to complete the project of staging a music festival at Sydney Myer Music Bowl. It is complete with different charts and tables to further explain the minute details about how the project would need to be run. Some contributions I had were the WBS. So the work breakdown structure outlines the tasks or activities that need to be completed for a successful festival to be put on. The tasks are categorized into 5 main groups. They are the planning phase, resource planning phase, pre-production phase, production phase, and the post-production phase. They are in order of what needs to be completed first. Therefore, the planning phase activities need to be completed before moving on to the resource planning phase. The other contribution I had was the responsibility matrix. So following on from the work breakdown structure, the next part that I contributed to was the responsibility matrix. This is where I delegated every task activity to one person who is responsible for that task or activity to be completed. And sometimes another person was delegated to that task to support and assist the person responsible. Here is a picture of the work breakdown structure, complete with the 5 main groups and the activities or tasks under them. Some other contributions I had was through the resource plan. So the last part I contributed to was the resource plan, in which I identified the resource roles that were needed from Will's cost estimates and time estimates, including a project coordinator, the festival staff, as well as artists and performers and stage coordinators and technicians. Furthermore, the next part of it was the resource risks that were identified, including the fact that the technicians for the project needed to be higher at the end. This was because it was way too expensive to hire technicians at the start because they were costed too much. In addition to that, another potential risk is that the internal resources needed to stay within their own roles and not be transferred or mixed up with other roles. This was because it was too risky to waste days transferring these resources to other roles. So here is a picture of the resource costing graph. So the last part I contributed to was a resource costing graph, in which I took Will's cost estimates and used them to outline the cumulative resource costs and the resource cost per day over the length of the project, which started in March of 2023 and goes to February 2024.
My contribution is to make project network and Gantt chart. According to the previous WBS work decomposition and time cost estimation, we made the following project network, which is divided into 4 phases. They are planning phase, resource planning phase, production phase, production phase. Each phase is sequential and continuous. And only when each phase is completed can we move to the next phase. And their dependencies between each task. We also created the earliest start and the completion time, the latest start and completion time, and the select time between each task. The units we use are working days. The next is Gantt chart. The Gantt chart is a accumulation of work pages and their estimated time frames. From start to finish, the project is expected to begin on the 20th of March 2023 and be completed on the 9th of February 2024, requiring a total of 227 working days. As an observable feature of the Gantt chart, each phase of the festival activity process is continuous, and only when each phase is completed can we move to the next phase. In the project priority matrix, time is identified as a constraint variable. So time is critical to the operation of the entire project. You know, some partial tasks can be performed simultaneously in each phase, but since the order of each phase remains the same and some tasks are performed sequentially, this does not take many tasks out of the critical path and will not have much impact on the success of the project.
Hi, my name is William Davis, and these are my contributions to our project for the Melbourne Music Festival. We looked at the estimation of times and costs for activities and the project, along with the risk assessment. For the estimation of times and cost, I used Oliver's WBS to get the times and cost estimations. The work breakdown structure codes were used from there, and we utilized the dates from our milestones for our start and finishing dates to get to the estimation on duration. The WBS was further used to estimate the costs. The risk assessment involved using the times and cost estimates along with the WBS to access the risk of the project. Firstly, areas of risk were identified and broken down into more specific risks where we used the risk breakdown structure to display the risks. We further used a risk probability matrix to look at the probability of a risk occurring and the impact that risk can have. And we also looked at the risk response matrix to show how we would respond to the risks. And finally, we looked at what-if scenarios. This is our time estimating. It involves the WBS code, the task name, and then the duration, start and finishing dates for our milestones, and the predecessors before moving on to the next task. This is the cost breakdown. It involves looking at the associated costs for each area, breaking down those costs and getting the final cost estimate. So for instance, staff costs consist of the project team costs, the festival staff costs, the volunteer costs, security costs, medical personnel costs, technician costs. We get the total cost for each one and get the total staff costs. The total costs consisted of total permit and licensing costs, total venue costs, total artist performer costs, total staff costs, and the total cleanup costs. Our total cost for the project for itself was $928,054, which came $72,000 under our $1 million budget. We then identified risks. So we had 7 areas of risk, which were more broad, such as resource and project planning risks, promotional risks, all the way to artist performer risks. And within those, we had more specific risks, such as risk for making estimating errors with time and cost, or risks for artists or performers not to arrive. We then had a risk breakdown structure where we displayed our risks. We then used a risk probability matrix, which took the probability of a risk occurring and the impact that risk can have. So for instance, the risk of equipment faults, breaks, and failures were in the possible area, and the catastrophic. This fell into the high risk probability matrix, which needed regular review. We then had a risk response matrix where we had an exam where we would take the risk event, the response to that event, the contingency plan, and the trigger, and who is responsible. So for example, the risk of insufficient or effective promotion, we would mitigate that risk by getting all promotional material approved. We would then have the contingency plan to have other promotional sponsors available, and the trigger would be unable to find a promotional sponsor. This was responsible for the project team. Finally, we had what-if scenarios, which were potential scenarios that can occur before, during, or after the project. An example would be what if an artist pulls out of the event, and the what if would be solved by having other artists or performers that would play the event if the artist pulls out on late notice. Thank you for listening.
Hi, my name is Chee. Today I would like to talk about the definition of the project. First of all, Melbourne Festival is largely supported by local governments. The festival is increased the foot traffic, which is advantageous to nearby business by revenue. Therefore, the event seek to exhibit Australian music and culture. Generally, the festival includes a number of stages featuring live concerts, food and drink beverage booths, and other cultural events. The project scope for the festival entails the planning and overseeing every facet of the celebration, from booking performers and vendors to handling logistics, and make sure guests' well-being and security. To ensure that event draws a large crowd and benefits the neighborhood, the festival organizers also collaborate closely with organizations, companies, and governmental organizations in the area. Furthermore, there are several goals to accomplish during the project, such as recognize and highlight Melbourne local community, especially its rich cultural variety, integrating history and thriving art scene, promoting Melbourne as a cultural destination, and enhance social involvement through a variety of activities and events that take place in between the main festival day. In contrast, there are some limitations on this project, such as not over budgeting in this project, and make sure there is no overcrowded and reserves the rights for refusal of entry. Moreover, Melbourne Festival must comply with noise and sound restriction from the CBD area and make sure there is adequate number of staffs, volunteers, and performers during the event. Next, I will talk about the stakeholder management. Based on the stakeholder metrics in the project, there are 6 main stakeholders in the project, which is project team, Claire Fairby, local business owners, Matt Gudinsky, Dave Rogers, and attendees of the Melbourne Festival. Firstly, the contributions of the project team is managing relationship with existing sponsors and assuring that sponsorship are fulfilled. Secondly, the role of Claire Fairby, the CEO of the Creative Victoria, is government. Therefore, she has to keep satisfied to run this project. This is because she provides the direct government funding as sponsorship assistance to support the operations of the festivals. Thirdly, local business owners install pop-up stores during the event to provide products and services to attendees. Furthermore, other local business owners, such as accommodation providers, could give special offers for attendees to attract more people to utilize local business owners' products and services. Thirdly, Matt Gudinsky, the CEO of PRM, is playing the role of media partner of this project. He provides festival-related materials to wider audience. Fourthly, the head of the programs and operation of the push, Dave Rogers, who assisting Melbourne Festival by giving young artists opportunities to display their abilities through the festival. Lastly, attendees are the end consumers of the festival. The contribution of the project by attendees is just participating and provide feedbacks of the overall experience of this festival. On the other hand, there are some main concerns for stakeholders during this project. Firstly, the project team has to ensure that the expenses are within budgetary constraints and have to address any conflicts between stakeholders. Therefore, Claire Fairby is concerning about how project team manage audience crowded during the festival and maintain a healthy financial position. Furthermore, the local business owners worry about the over foot traffic might affect their business operations due to insufficient staffs. Moreover, the media partner of this project, Matt Gudinsky, concerned about the quality and accuracy of the festival. If there is any incorrect information about the Melbourne Festival, it might affect their credibility of M. In addition, Dave Rogers is worried about the push has inability to provide young artists during the festivals. Lastly, the safety and ticketing issues are the main concerns of entities. Thank you for listening throughout our project.